You're listening to Beyond the Bell, Leading with Purpose, a new conversation space where educators and leaders explore what it truly means to lead with purpose, courage, and heart. Join Dr. Nathan Manley and myself, Jim Cummins, as we share the inspiration behind Lifted and how purpose-driven leadership can transform schools and communities. This is Beyond the Bell, Leading with Purpose. Today we're excited to welcome Renee Cummins and Laura Watkins. Combined, they have over 67 years of experience as classroom teachers and instructional coaches. They collaboratively taught together for 5 years. They're co-owners of Realtime PD, creators of the TPT site Golden Goats and a Kid. They're trained in Kagan, PSYOP, Smart Step Literacy Lab, Adaptive Schools, BIST, PLC at Work. They've worked with high reliability schools, building thinking classrooms, and they understand the framework for understanding poverty. Laura has additional training in Davis Learning Strategies for Dyslexia. She's a national coach certification from the Comprehensive Literacy Model and is letters trained. Renee has additional training in PBIS and has served as a trainer for Everyday Math and Envision Math. Together, they bring a unique approach to their presenting and coaching and have helped countless teachers create classrooms where students are engaged, attentive, and challenged. Ladies, it's good to have you with us. And if you would, just kind of start us off, tell us a little bit about your education journey and what continues to motivate you to support teachers and students.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. I started my educational journey a long time ago. 1984 is when I started doing this. I've been in 4th grade and 5th grade and instructional coaching. We did retire once, and now we're back at the work. And I think what keeps us, or myself anyway, I know I speak for Renee too, and when I say this, what keeps us going in this work is the payoff we see in the teachers and in the students that they serve. And it's extremely rewarding to walk out of a classroom and know that that teacher has a stronger confidence built within her or him, and that's going to translate to student results. And so we just love seeing that.
And I started a little bit after Laura in 1990 and taught 4th grade for 28 years, retired for a year, came back, coached for a few years, then went back to the classroom under critical need and taught 3rd grade and looped with that class up into 4th grade, and then went back to coaching. And the same thing. And we still have the passion. We still love education. We still love being around the kids and the teachers and principals and administrators. And we just love all of it.
And we love learning new things. It's there's always something changing in education. There's always new research in education, and we love learning it, putting it into practice, and see it come to fruition in our teachers and our kids at our school. And so that's one reason we just like to stay enmeshed, just completely immersed in the work, I guess.
Yeah, ladies, it's had the pleasure of knowing you and would echo the heart you have for staff and the commitment to lifelong learning. If there's something out there that you can learn that's going to help support a staff member or a student, you are all about it. And I just it just commends you on that. So as we have been going through these the associate podcast and creating these for everyone to get to know you a little bit and to also maybe give some additional support. One of the things that we get requests for a lot is just behavior management in general. And that's an area that you ladies thrive in. You always thrived in your classroom, and you thrive in supporting others. And so I'm going to talk about classroom management, student engagement, and some high expectations for a little bit. So with nearly 60 years of combined classroom experience, what do you believe is the biggest misconception teachers have about classroom management today?
We talked about this quite a bit yesterday, and we even pulled our current principal in and asked her opinion as well, and she had some thoughts on it. But after we talked about it, we threw around a lot of different things, but what we finally landed on is we feel like beginning teachers often feel like when we go into the room and they're having some difficulty and they express that, like, well, what have you done so far? Well, I went over all my expectations the first day of school,
Mm-hmm.
and okay, or maybe the whole week, maybe they spent a week on it, and it's just a lack of realizing that it's not just a one-time thing, it's a continuous effort.
Every day, every hour, every minute, those expectations have to be revisited to get that accountability in the children. And I think sometimes they devalue the importance of it. I know my curriculum. I'm here to teach these children. They don't see that sometimes the effort I put into classroom management is going to pay off in my curriculum, in my content area. And they don't quite see that. Maybe they don't have a tool belt filled with strategies yet. It's possibility maybe their student teaching experience was not as rich as it could have been, and they don't have strategies from that cooperating teacher, maybe just a few, but maybe not enough for certain situations. And so that's one thing we like to do is go in and help build that toolkit.
And we've also, now we're encountering teachers who unfortunately haven't had the opportunity to do their student teaching. They're coming straight out of college and going right into the classroom. And so they actually, they don't have the experience. They don't know what to do. And so it's kind of a,
I
the
want
tool
I
not
want
having a, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to dig a little deeper into that because when you talk about a first year teacher or
Mm-hmm.
any teacher that says, "Well, I went over my expectations,"
Mm-hmm.
and you're talking about every day, every hour. So just go a little bit deeper because when you talk about that, you're not talking about pulling out the list of expectations every day and going back over them every day. How do you weave that into just your daily teaching?
That's it exactly. You just weave it in. One of the things we've always said is what you ignore, you accept. So if something's happening out there that is not what you want them to be doing or it's not what they should be doing, if you ignore it, then you're also letting them know, well, they must be okay with this. And there are things I ignore. There are things that Laura ignores. There are certain, things that are fine. But if you don't address it at that time, and it doesn't take long. That's another thing. I think another misconception is exactly what you just said, Jim, is that they think, well, I don't have time to stop. I've got curriculum. I've got to get this done. And it's no, it's just a quick.
I think it has to be seamless within the instruction. So when you're teaching and you notice a behavior that's off task, you can talk to the student beside them. Oh, I see you have your pencils out, your book is out, you're ready to go. I love that about you. Thanks for being right on target. Let's get going. And then the whole class then realizes, hey, I need my pencil, my book, I need to be ready to go. So it's a seamless reminder all the time. You never step away from it. Those expectations are talked about um, under the wire all the time. Maybe the kids know you're talking about expectations and maybe they don't, but they know what you expect and you're continually monitoring that.
We've also found the long pause is very
So
effective.
good. So good.
When you just stop. And it's a very long pause. And then finally someone will say, hey, just waiting for you. And you don't have to say anything.
Nope.
But you have to have established it first for that long pause to work. If
Yes.
you haven't established that and the kids around them don't know what you're pausing about, then you
Yes,
don't
probably.
have that. So you got to get it established. Yeah.
Yes.
Good stuff.
So some things that I'm hearing you say too, it's almost there's a mindset, right? With your expectations in your classroom. We talk about curriculum and instruction, but the understanding as a new like we can't take the behaviors for granted. We have to look at that as those are things that you're teaching as well. Is it part of the direct math instruction? Is it part of the and so just because you taught it doesn't mean that they learned it. So you're constantly evaluating. And fortunately or unfortunately, our students are going to give us opportunity to see how that landed. Maybe even more often than a math test or something like that. So I thought that's really, really big. And then the other thing you talked about the expectations, but it's clear that you also have done some reflection on what the behaviors will look like if we're meeting that expectation. And
Mhm.
we may have to correct or we may get to celebrate. Either way, you've thought about those. That's good stuff, ladies. I think uh, I think that's very helpful for, especially like you said, we've got a lot of teachers who have not gone through formal teaching certification programs, and that just, the asking for help, and even the thing that a lot of them will go in to try, and they want to be a teacher, but the thing that's driving him out a lot of times is the behavior. And so this understanding, I think,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And one thing I think that we've always highlighted when we do new teacher workshops is that you need to know your expectations going in. What do you expect in a classroom? Let's look at scenarios. Let's look at procedures. Let's look at the what ifs. What are you going to do when this happens? Sometimes I think when we have new teachers coming into the profession,
Mhm.
they don't, they think it's all going to be roses and, apples and smiley faces, and they don't sit down and count the costs. These are the things that may happen. How am I going to respond to that? What do I expect my kids to do?
Mhm.
And so we try to make that a priority for them. What are your expectations? If you don't know them, you're not going to be able to fix it when it comes up and correct it and make it be the classroom you want it to be.
good. Thank you. So, how do classroom management and student engagement actually work together? Are they separate skill sets or really two sides of this game?
We didn't even
Court.
practice
No.
that.
We didn't. They go hand in hand. I mean, yeah, is management the foundation? Yeah, I think we
I
agree
think
on
so.
that. I mean, you have to have that foundation of quality classroom management to be able to get that deep cognitive engagement that we're wanting. But I can have some classroom management and still not get the engagement I want, but I can tweak it then because I have that foundation to build on. If I don't have that foundation to build on, I'm going to have very weak engagement
Mhm.
going forward. So I don't think there's any way you can really separate them.
No, and
One builds on the other.
yeah, and I like what you said yesterday when we were talking, is that when you have the strong classroom management, that's when you can have the engagement, but the opposite isn't true. So if you have a poor classroom management, your engagement's going to go down. It's going to decrease.
Yeah, that's good. We talked about that in our coaching cycles, right? There's times
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they would send us in there and they would like us to work with a teacher on uh they didn't have the student outcomes and instruction, and you walk in there and like, well, we can't get to that because
No,
No,
we've
absolutely
got,
not.
no.
we've, we've got to make it safe in here.
Just like a child can't do multiplication if they can't add,
Uh-huh.
it makes it very difficult for a
Mhm.
teacher to get some deep cognition and some really dandy student engagement if they've got holes in their wall of classroom management. So we've got to fill in those holes.
Yeah. That's what I like about Marzano and the HRS as well, is like the safe collaborative environment has to come first. Like that's the foundation for everything. It doesn't even matter how great your instruction is, because sometimes this comes down to safety, right?
Yes.
Um, if they don't feel safe in there, it doesn't matter how great of a lesson is. We have to create environments where students feel safe so they can learn.
Mhm.
And one of the things we said, also discussed yesterday, was that whole thing on safety. And I think sometimes people don't think of it as, yes, we want them to feel safe at school, but in our classroom, we wanted them to feel safe to make mistakes.
Ooh,
It's
tell us
it,
more.
that well, we've got it later on. This might fit
Okay,
better
okay.
in a different
We'll get
question,
there.
but we'll go there now. Making a mistake, we celebrated mistakes because we always turned it into a celebration. If they made a mistake in something, and Laura was always so good to say, "Oh, I'm so glad you made that mistake, because now let's talk about that."
You've given us an opportunity to learn.
Mhm.
All of us can learn from that.
Yeah.
And so we always try to flip the narrative a little bit.
Mhm.
That's not a mistake. That is an opportunity.
Yeah.
So
And we always thank them for the
yeah,
mistake.
we did.
Thank you so much for making that mistake and letting us learn from you, because I bet you're not the only person that made that mistake. And
it builds a culture of safety among the
Mhm.
children, which I think is huge when you're trying to build that safe culture in your entire school. Those kids have to feel like I can be safe with Johnny because
Mhm.
Johnny, He may make that same mistake. I may make it. It's okay. We'll talk about it. It's all right to make mistakes in this classroom. I'm going to celebrate Johnny just like he's going to celebrate me. So I think that's crucial.
We didn't allow anyone to giggle and laugh at someone's mistake. That was inappropriate, and we addressed it in a very firm manner when it did happen, so that they would know nobody's going to laugh at you, nobody's going to make fun of you. That's not that. It, to elementary kids, I think especially, is really, really important.
Which made them more willing after practice. It didn't happen overnight. Make them more willing to take a risk. And when we take a risk, we're going to go deeper. And so it was a nice thing to see kids celebrate that, and then see kids jump off the edge a little bit where they wouldn't have before.
I'll jump in here for just a second, and I'm sure if a listener is wondering, are Jim and Renee related? Yes, we've been married almost 39 years, so we've had lots of these discussions, and I can remember times when I would go into Renee's classroom and be like, "Do any of the kids like you?" And it was like, well, they love her, but if you go in and you watch a good teacher teach, they handle things immediately and directly. And I think that classroom management piece, after watching hundreds of classrooms in my career, you can just tell the teachers that have control over their classroom typically have engagement, because you're not spending 10-20% of your time redirecting behaviors. You're teaching, and the redirect is quick, it's back on. And so, yeah, I think that's also a little bit of a misconception about, tight classroom management. You can't be a student's friend and have, tight classroom management. And we're not there to be their friends. We're there to be their teachers. But I think you can have students that have a deep respect for their teachers, and I think psychology tells us they want boundaries. They want to be, they want to know where their boundaries are, and good classroom management establishes that for them.
And I would say that the students that don't have those boundaries at home really crave those boundaries. They sometimes are the hardest ones to get to stay within those boundaries, but they do really embrace it once they do, and when they know what to expect and they know what their day is going to look like, and they really
begin to thrive.
They thrive on boundaries.
Let's move to practical strategies. If a teacher walked into your
favorite,
we've got a lot.
How long you got?
Well, let's see. If a teacher walked into your session tomorrow struggling with off-task behavior, what are 2 to 3 immediate strategies you would tell them to implement tomorrow?
Can we do 4?
Do you think I'm comfortable telling you no?
Oh, first off, of course, is what we start every year with in all of the classrooms. We go into every classroom, whatever building that we're in, we go in and do a behavior boot camp, expectation boot camp. Every classroom, whatever building we happen to be in. And the first thing we do is SLANT. That is the very first thing we do for every classroom. And it's out there on the internet everywhere. I got it from my husband, who is a 38-year veteran of the classroom as well. And he did this with his high school kids. But it is SLANT, which stands for, it's an acronym. S is sit up, L is listen, A is ask and answer questions, N is nod your head, and T is track the speaker. And we talk about all of those with the children and the why of each one of those things. We never give a strategy, an expectation, a rule. We don't do anything unless we tell our kids why. They've got to know why we're doing what we're doing. And if there's research involved, bonus points for that. We clue the kids in on the research. We talk about sitting up straight, having nice posture, helps the blood flow to your brain. We talk about all of those things, brain research. But the thing that I think is most important in that we wanted to point out was to track the speaker. having eyes on whoever is speaking in the classroom. You want to
Right.
speak more about that?
And it can be the teacher, it can be each other. It's that they don't just track the teacher. It's not, and we even say it's not track the teacher, it's track the speaker. So if one of your classmates is talking, all heads turn to that classmate and you watch them and you give them respect by looking at them. One thing that we found going into classrooms is students just looking down or looking at, at the wall or looking out the window, or as soon as someone walks through the door, they all focus on the door. But we want, if we're speaking, we want all eyes on us, because we've got to see that you are looking at us. And we practice, and we go into a room and say, so if I'm speaking, you're going to track to me.
But if I'm speaking, you track to me, and we have the classroom teacher buy in on that.
And so then they all
well.
turn to her. And so you practice them tracking the speaker. That one, out of all of SLANT, that's I think most important.
And we found that teachers, for the most part, are uncomfortable with that. Uncomfortable having students stop and look at them. Because we tell them, you have permission to just stand there until every eye in this classroom is on you. What you have to say is important. We tell the kids, what you have to say in this classroom discussion is important. You have permission to wait until every eye in this classroom is on you, and then you may speak. And it's a waiting game. And teachers sometimes aren't comfortable with that pause. And that's something that they have to learn themselves, that you can have to be comfortable with that, but your engagement is going to skyrocket if you have 24 sets of eyes on you. It's definitely going to go up, because they're going to know what's going on in that classroom.
Another one is
I
that
just real quick, I want to just emphasize that point, that it's kind of like an investment. The pause you take now, that teacher may be thinking, oh my gosh, I got 30 minutes to get this covered, and if I have 20 10-second pauses, I'm not going to get it covered. But maybe 2 weeks from now, it's only 5 10-second pauses. And so it's an investment in, and I think we have, just in general, I'm not the most patient person. We don't use that pause effectively. And I think just for listeners to understand, any instructional coaches that are out there listening, it's okay to have those, to build that culture, to invest in the expectation.
There is power in the pause, for sure.
Yes. And we also, wait time. It made me think about our wait time. When you ask a question, I have really long wait time.
She's the queen of wait time.
I have uncomfortably long wait times.
She does.
It makes other people really uncomfortable. But
it does.
I'll wait.
She will. And moving on.
Moving on past SLANT. Yes.
Jim, you don't want you got nothing to add to that, Jim?
Nothing to add.
All right. Moving on.
The other one that we do is we tell everyone in the classroom is responsible for their learning. You are all responsible for that. So if we ask a question or propose an idea, and we always use like popsicle sticks, to pull out who we're going to call on, because it's,
I think the correct term is equity sticks.
Equity sticks.
Yes.
Popsicle sticks with names. And every teacher, I'm guilty of it. Everybody is guilty. There are certain students you want to call on and certain students you don't want to call on. And when you just randomly pull out a name and you look at it, you're like, ugh, you gotta ask them anyway. So to help that situation, when you pull that stick and it might be a student that hasn't been in our country for very long, or they aren't fluent in English, or it might be a student who's in special ed, or maybe someone who's just extremely shy and they don't like to answer out loud. We never accepted that as an answer, or I don't know, or nothing. Sometimes you get nothing. So I saw that, I don't remember where I found this, if it was where I read about it, but anyway, it's called, we call it help. And so the student, after a little bit of time, one of us would say, do you need some help? And they would say help. And when they said help, the people right around them, whether they're at their desk, it'd be whoever else is sitting at their table. If they're on the floor, it's the people right beside them. Lean in, talk to them in a really quiet voice, and they give them some ideas on what they could say and help. And I think this is what she means. And then after just a little bit of time, I say, okay, I go back to the original student. What'd you find out? They're still responsible for answering that question. Nobody, Laura always says, nobody gets a pass. Everybody is responsible. And there are certain students it takes a while, but then they get so good at being, and it goes back to that safety again. It's going to be okay, because if I don't know, I know I can get some help. And it doesn't that come from us. We don't want to be the giver of all the knowledge. That's not how we see ourselves.
Nope.
So that's help is a really important one.
That's good.
Probably our favorite strategy would be the use of silent signals in the classroom. We teach our children, and we do this in all the classrooms we're in now as instructional coaches, the symbols for I agree, I disagree, I would like to add on, I need clarification, conjecture, where's your bridge? There are so many different signals that we use in our teaching, they use in their small groups. We don't raise hands. We try to get everyone in our buildings not to raise hands, because we know what happens when someone raises their hand in a classroom discussion. The thinking stops. As soon as Johnny, who always has the right answer, raises his hand, everyone else, okay, great, Johnny's got it.
Because she's going to call on Johnny.
Yeah,
we all know she
on Johnny.
will.
And so we stop doing that, and we show an answer. And it's private, and everyone in the classroom has to either be showing an answer or thinking. So they're all engaged with what's going on in that particular moment, whatever question has been posed. And so we try to reduce that calling on the same person that way too, because we don't do the hand raising. We found it really interesting that when these kids would go to specials, when we were in the classroom, our specials teachers would come to us and say, what are all those hand signals that they're using? What's that about? They started doing it in specials class in discussion. We noticed it in our classroom because we did a whole lot of group work. And so they'd be in their group places. We called it their 4Ls position. So they would be around the room. And one day we looked up and we said, wait a minute, they're using their signals to each other in their classroom discussion. That's what we wanted to happen.
It totally took us by surprise. We had no idea. I think when we started doing silent signals, the two things we saw was they started doing it out there. And the other thing was they became so comfortable with each other. It really generated that safety again, because, well, we don't, it just happened. We didn't expect it.
No.
We did not know that was going to be a benefit.
We thought it was always going to be just on the carpet with us, and it just went everywhere in the building. So those would, silent signals there's so many of them, and there's so much we could say on those, but people can research those too online, and we'd love to show them.
On the silent signals, do you have a list? We could link it in the podcast description, or we can put it on the website, or do you just have a general list?
We have a general list. Yeah. We've got PowerPoints that have stuff in it, so we'll get that to you.
Awesome. I want to take that a little bit and go, because we're just kind of building to this point of you all produce tremendous MAP scores, and I know MAP scores are not what it's all about, but that is currently how Missouri is graded in many ways. And so superintendents, leaders out there looking for ways, how do we raise our MAP scores? And you all always shined in an environment where our students weren't high achieving, we weren't a real affluent district. So you got students of all types, but I think the student engagement, your teaching strategies, all of that led to it. But talk about high expectations for every kid, because I hear Nathan talk about it all the time in Hattie's work about, the teacher's belief in students, and just talk about how you wove high expectations into your classrooms.
Well, one thing I think we had high expectations for ourselves. So the children saw that our classroom was a place where success could be had. We were lifelong learners. We were always going to some other PD, learning something. We'd always come back and tell them, we have learned this. we are learning just along with you. We expected that of ourselves, so we expect that in you. I think that vulnerability and transparency with them went a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, Carla Sofas, who I've done a lot of studying with and who is now the founder of Transformational Teaching, one of her favorite sayings is keep the cookies on the bottom shelf. And so our kids knew what the expectations were from the get-go. I mean, there was no debate whether or not this was acceptable or this was not acceptable. So we made sure that they knew that. And then we enforced them consistently with every child. No one got a pass. Now, we talked yesterday. Will this work for 100% of your children? No. There are those outlying children. We've both had them where you've got to employ different strategies. You've got to get into some deeper behavior management strategies with them. But for the most part, it will work because that environment is safe and engaging. You want to talk about growth mindset, which is something that we do.
We started doing that. I don't, Jim, I think you may have told me about it. And so I started looking into this, it's been several years ago. And I came to Laura and I said, hey, I heard about this lady. Her name's Carol Dweck, and she's all about growth mindset. And and I kind of explained a little bit of what I knew about it. And so we put on our wall in huge letters, we believe in the power of yet. And that was something we said every day. We set our classroom rules, and then we all ended with, and we believe, and the kids got to where they shouted.
They loved it.
That was their favorite thing that we did. We believe in the power of yet. And we let them yell it as loud as they could. And my favorite story with the power of yet were two little Hispanic boys that we had one year. We dearly loved both of them. They were just a touch ornery, so they were perfect. And I went to watch a fourth grade football game, and they were there watching. And they came over and sat by me, and I said, well, how are you guys doing? Oh, we're doing well. What have you been doing? Well, we're trying to get better at some game they'd been playing online. And one of them looked at me, and I said, well, which one of you is better? Of course, Eric said, well, I'm better. And then the other one said,
his cousin.
Yeah, his cousin. He goes, well, you're better right now, but I'm going to get there. He goes, he goes, I'm going to keep practicing. And he goes, you're better now, but not yet. And he goes, I know I can be better sometime. And I just thought, oh my gosh, he had repeated everything that we had been saying. And it was with a video game that they were working on. And he goes, well, yet,
And we never allowed them to say things like, I don't know. That was not acceptable. We didn't say, I don't know. We didn't say, I don't get it.
We didn't say,
We didn't say, I can't. Those phrases were banned from our classroom. If they said it, they knew they had to end with yet. And then we talk about what strategies are you going to use to get there? What can I do to help you? What can your peers do to help you? What can you do to help yourself? So just, I think, building within them that capacity that I don't have to have all of it together right now, but I will get there. Not yet, but someday. And we continually built that within them. And they knew every day expectations did not change. They were never changed. And so you can't let down. That's one thing too. You cannot let down. You let down on your expectations, you let down your kids. And you can't do that.
And you can't allow excuses to creep in. And I see that a lot. So yeah.
Go ahead, Renee.
Oh, I just started to say, we also gave them some other alternatives instead of saying, because we even eventually said, we don't even want you to say, I can't do this yet, because you're still saying I can't. So, but you can say, I'm having trouble with this math problem, or I don't understand this question. That's fine. But we wanted the I can't totally removed.
Yeah, one of the things I used to tell teachers is you can be consistently good or you can be consistently bad, but kids need consistency regardless.
Yes.
100%. Hey, one of the other things I heard you ladies say, and or two big things that stuck out for me, but the clarity, and I think clear is kind. Heather Frizzell does a good job of talking about that. Is we want to promote places of kindness. Well, clarity brings kindness. And the other thing, you said it doesn't work for all kids. If behavior is sometimes the same as instruction, where we almost want to go to tier two and tier three. And what we're talking about here, and what you ladies are really talking about, is tier one strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's behavior, but think about it as tier one. And if
Right.
it's working well, then most of your students are doing okay. Then we can get to tier two and tier three. We might have a different set of strategies. We might have some interventions for those students that may
Yeah.
look like a number of other things, but having a strong tier one behavioral strategy plan is key as well.
I like how you made that connection. I didn't really think of that
Mm-hmm.
as tier one. That's great. Yeah.
So I want to tie a little bit of this next question into kind of our lifted philosophy, which is that we're not big on just one-off training. We're trying to build partnerships with districts where we're going to do some sustained training over a period of time, so that when the concept is introduced and there's failure, struggle, challenges, then we come back and we support and we try to build this. So with the talk about the engagement that lasts, just the fact that sometimes people say, well, I came back and I introduced SLANT, or I came back and I introduced these things. But this sustainability, what makes that to where the kid shows up at the football game and he's talking about something that you've been talking about in class?
I think teachers talk less and facilitate more, and we build in children the capacity to own their own learning and own their own behavior. And we do that through consistency, through their engagement with each other under our tutelage, and then with them backing off, like we said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, about them in their little groups doing it on their own, where they feel empowered to do that. It's no different than what we do with our teachers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
In the coaching world, we are with them, we coach them, and then we back off and they're empowered to do it. I think it's building that sustainability within them, that allows that classroom management, that engagement, to be sustainable over a year and into further years in that child's education.
And most teachers that we've worked with in various buildings that we've been in, it wasn't just to go in at the beginning of the year,
Mm-mm.
teach SLANT, teach them some things, and then we never went back in there again. The teachers needed that consistency, just like our students needed that consistency. We'd go back in, and then invariably we would talk to them, or we'd go do a little something with their class, and then afterward oh, I forgot about that. I remember we talked about that before. We've done the same things with training. I remember we would go into a training and we'd come out like, oh, I'd forgotten when they said that was good, and we forgot all about
The
that.
first time the Google guy came
Yeah.
and tried to tell us about Google, and none of us had ever
Oh.
touched Google, and he tried to tell us all this stuff, and we all left thinking, what did he even talk about? And then we played with Google for a while. It's like, oh, we wish he'd come back, because now we have some context
Now we
on which
know.
to hang that.
Yeah.
We didn't before.
What do they mean? We don't have to save it? What?
Yeah.
We did not get it at all.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. But also, one thing I think too, if you can find something that we talked earlier about weaving things seamlessly into your instruction. We think that whole brain teaching is one of those things that you can weave seamlessly into your instruction, and it is mega high engagement. I mean, kids are all over those kind of things because it is kinesthetic, it is songs, it is hand motions,
Mm-hmm.
it is talking, it is thinking, it is listening, it is action, it is up out of your seat. And we found that anything we could put emotion to, anything we could put a song to, anything we could put a little silly buzz phrase with, stuck. And you can do that in your teaching
Mm-hmm.
all year long. And Chris Biffle is the pioneer of whole brain teaching, and we took his things, built on it, and that's kind of where we land in classrooms now. We kind of talk a lot about that, and the teachers really enjoy adding that to their toolbox. Okay, I can do this stuff all year long, because it kind of changes but you're always doing some kind of action, motion, engaging all parts of the brain. Get on his website and look at the parts of the brain that this type of teaching hits. It hits it all. And it's kind of amazing at what kids can do when you tap into all those different areas of the brain that we sometimes just leave untapped in our regular day-to-day classrooms.
And we also always tell teachers to make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because do we do everything exactly like Chris Biffle?
No.
We took the parts we really liked. We tried a lot of things. Some things were like, I don't really like that. Do you like that one? No, not really. So we did not do it. Or we might tweak it a little bit. Or sometimes the kids would tweak it.
Mm-hmm.
They would come up
Yeah.
with something. And they said, can we do it this way? Well, let's try it, and kind of made it theirs. We have all kinds of sayings of, the things that kids came up with and that we would use. And I think they felt comfortable doing that because we felt comfortable doing that with them.
Hey,
I want to, oh, go ahead, Nathan.
well, okay. If it's all right, we've got a question on impact on achievement, and uh, you're welcome to answer that. But one of the things I wonder about too, and Jim and I talk about this a lot with leaders and taking care of themselves. I know you ladies are passionate about classroom management and creating safe environments that are engaging and all those things. I just wonder if you have, sorry to put you on the spot, an example where you've seen maybe a teacher struggling and just the impact of like, not only did it make things better in the classroom, it just made that teacher wellness, that culture piece
We
allowed
have
them to.
we have the perfect example from this year, actually.
All right, no names. Let's hear it.
No
names.
names. A teacher struggling with getting anything done in the classroom. No time. I have no time. I can't get anything done in here. Was not very happy in the classroom because things were so helter-skelter, for lack of a better word, I guess. The children had no parameters of any kind. Discipline, some few discipline problems within that classroom, some sped kids that were not getting what they needed. And we did a coaching cycle, and we were in there for a total of 3 weeks, start to finish. Started out with us completely modeling. Then we went to a team type situation where we partnered. And so we taught with this teacher. I taught with her in writing and reading. Renee taught with her in math, but we still use all of our engagement strategies within that teaching. And then we pulled back and just were in there as a support for her, just to watch her do it. She has blossomed. Her statements are things like, I didn't know I had this much time. I didn't know I could teach this much in a day.
Oh, yeah.
Her discipline referrals have gone down. Her sped kids are happier in that environment. And she's going great guns. We have a couple of success stories. You want to talk about the other one in second grade?
Oh, well, this a teacher that we've known for a little while in different buildings, and have worked with her off and on. And we spent some time with her, and you really quite a lot with the ELA and helping her understand how to use some of the resources that we already have. And it's like a light switch finally came on. Even though we've worked with her, what year is this for her?
This is her
fourth year. So we've worked with her over 4 years, but this year is just like that.
And she would never allow people to come in her classroom. I would want to do learning walks because she did such a great job. She was in the same building with us last year as well. And so I wanted to get people in her room, made her a nurse saying, no, you don't want them in my room. You do not want them in my room. No, I don't do things like you would want them to do. I mean, just didn't care for it. This past, 2 weeks ago, we had a team from the district in her room watching her do her thing. And the Post-it notes that these people put up on the board were just like, I took pictures of them. I was just so proud of her. And she said, yeah, bring them on, bring them in. Her confidence has gone up to the point where she feels so empowered and equipped in that classroom. And we love the test scores. We think that's great too. Yeah. But we love seeing these teachers think, I can do that. And we kind of were talking a little bit last night. If teachers feel supported and they feel equipped and they feel encouraged and they feel safe with us and with their administrator, they're going to want to stay where they are. And I don't know about districts around the country, but I know around here, teacher retention is an issue. And we want these good teachers to stay where they are with our kids. And that just, behooves us to get in there and help them and do this because they want to stay now.
Well, and we even got a little message from another teacher in our building about the one we were just talking about. And she's like, I just have to tell you, I stepped in her classroom and she's doing an amazing job. And I just told her, I just love to watch you teach. And I just love everything you're doing. You're like a little mini Laura and Renee. And I'm like, oh, that was so nice.
It was
to get not just affirmation from us, but she's also getting it from her peers as well.
And what we've seen from both of these teachers, they come back and want more. Okay, what else you got?
I've done that.
Yeah.
Now what else?
Is there something else I can add here? So that's real rewarding for us as coaches too. And by the way, the first one we talked about, her iReady scores went way up.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Nathan, I know that hits at the heart of what we're trying to do, and that's encourage people to find joy in their work. And I can just tell you from observations that one of the things that saps joy faster than anything is not being able to control a classroom, and just that constant chaos that I can't do I got pressure to do all these other things, and my hair's on fire because I don't have control of my classroom. So definitely driving some points home that we've seen, and I know district leaders out there are gonna know exactly what we're talking about. So we're gonna wind this down. We could tap into you all for forever, and but really want those listening to get a taste, and I think they have. So I'm going to ask you to kind of wrap up with this. If you could give every teacher one mind shift heading into next school year, what would that mind shift be?
Well, we'll quote our former boss.
Yes.
We love this and we live by it. Go slow to go fast. I mean, you want that sustainable engagement. You want that sustainable management. You want your expectations to be carried on throughout the year. You start slow, you build it, you spiral it, you come back to it, you practice it, you role play it, you seamlessly include it in your lessons, and then you can do all the things you need to do as a classroom teacher. Go slow to go fast.
Yep.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. It's a good lesson in life.
No.
Not just in the classroom.
We may have heard Nathan say go slow to go fast.
Maybe a few times.
It might tell you I specialize in slow sometimes.
They talked about their students taking what they've taught them over time and going using it in other places. Look at there. They were listening. They were slanting while
We're
you were
making
talking.
you proud. We're making you proud, Dr. Mann.
Always.
It's like we always tell people, our job is to make her look good.
That's right.
So our job is to make you look good.
I used to tell that to my boss too. He'd walk in and say, what are you doing today? Everything I can to make you look good.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Nice boss. Carry on.
Always appreciated that. A little more hair would certainly help that look better.
Oh, yeah, I'll close it up and say, I hope, ladies, it's been a great episode. I think we're going to have you on again. I would also say to the listeners, if you have questions, send them our way, and maybe we'll tackle those next time. So, Laura, Renee, thank you. I just appreciate you so much. You have such an impact on many, many, many students throughout your career, to watch former students come up to you and still just the love they show you from the environment that you created, along with the staff that we see now.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
We appreciate being asked to come on. We appreciate the opportunity.
We love what we do.
Yes, we do.
If your district is interested in support around classroom management, student engagement, or math and literacy, Jim or I would be happy to visit with you about how Lifted could partner in that work. So, know you've enjoyed this episode. Until next time, be well and keep leading with purpose beyond the bell.